Hey everyone, if you've ever found yourself digging through spreadsheets, copying sales number into tables, and then scheduling yet another meeting to talk about them, this video is for you. Today, I'll walk you through how to build an AI agent using Copilot Studio and Fabric that automates the whole flow for you. You can ask a question and then it will pull the latest sales data from Microsoft Fabric, drops it into an Excel table, and then books a Teams meeting, all without you lifting more than a finger. If you want to really understand how I build this and what are the other interesting agents that you can build out of this, stick around after the demo. Now let's jump into it. As you can see, I already have my Copilot Studio up and I have my sales strategy agent open. Right now I'm in the test environment and you can see I have my activity map up so that you can see what's happening in the backend as well. So I've given it a question to bring back the sales performance metrics by region and manager, and I've asked it to add everything into an Excel. And on top of that, I'm also asking it to create strategic recommendations on how it thinks I can improve my sales, and it's also going to add them into the Excel. And finally, I've asked it to create a Teams meeting to discuss the same. So now you can see it took my user input and it used its NLP to create a query that it can send to Fabric, and it has the output from Fabric as well. And then it's created a table and it's adding a row into the tables. Let's move into the Excel sheet that I have. So here you can see how it's aligned the output based on region and by sales manager. I've only created one sales manager per region. That's why you have one row over here for every region. And it's given me the total sales that happen in the region, the number of units sold, what is the average unit price it is sold, and a strategic recommendation for each of those regions. And I can actually see it improving every time I try it out, because earlier when I tried it out, it didn't give me these dollar symbols, but now it's giving me the dollar symbols. And now it's going to be waiting for our input on the start date and time for the meeting. I'm going to schedule it for tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then it's going to ask me the end time. I'm going to schedule it only for 30 minutes. So okay, I missed the A over there. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, it actually understood that I missed A and it scheduled the meeting anyway. So it's scheduled in CST time zone because I defaulted the time zone to CST, but you can make it a dynamic input from AI, or you can also make sure it's fixed. Now let's see how you can build a sales agent like this, but before we dive in, let's make sure you've got the essentials in place before you start building the agent. So first you need a paid Fabric SKU. My understanding is this is not going to work in your trials queue. So make sure you have a paid F2 capacity, or any higher SKU is enough as well. And next you need to make sure a couple of admin portal tenant level settings are enabled, like the Fabric data agent. Since it's in preview, you need to specifically enable it. And you also need to make sure the Copilot tenant switch is enabled, and you need to ensure the cross geo processing for AI is enabled, because if your capacity is in one region and the server that Microsoft is going to be in some other region, or the OpenAI is going to be in some other region, then this setting needs to be enabled. And you need to have at least one of these Fabric items created so that it can act as a data source for your Fabric data agent. You can either have it fetch data from a warehouse, a lakehouse, one or more Power BI semantic models, and even your streaming database, so that you can talk to your data in real time. How cool is that? So if you're going to use Power BI semantic model as a source, just make sure you have the XMLA endpoints tenant switch enabled. And finally, if you're going to productionize this, which I know you will, so make sure you have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license and a user license for each individual who's going to build or manage these custom agents. So these are the prerequisites, but I also have a couple of things that you need to have upfront before you go ahead and create the actual Fabric data agent. So you need to make sure you have the expectations set for your Fabric data agent, like what are the questions that you want it to answer, and what is the actual calculation you want it to use when you ask a question. So I've created an example over here, and I've given the query a small description, and I've written the actual SQL query over here. And the second one is having an actual description prompt for your sales agent. This is critical because the flow in which you want the activities to happen needs to be clearly written down and given to the Copilot Studio agent so that it can act based on that. And this is very crucial because you need to create a table in Excel first before you go ahead and add the rows. If you don't align it properly, then it's going to give you an error. Now let's go ahead and build a Fabric agent. So now you can see I'm right now in my demo workspace. I have my product sales lakehouse over here. So what you need to do is you just need to go and click the new item over here, and it's going to give you the list of items that you can create. Just scroll down to the analyze and train data, and you can see that you have the data agent in preview over here. Just click that, and it's going to ask a name, and I'm just going to give it as sales agent. It's going to take a couple of seconds to create it, and it's going to next provide us the actual steps by itself, because you can see that Microsoft intuitively adds the next step over here, like asking us to add the data source, and I can click on the add data source, and it gives the list of sources that I can use it with. You can see it has a BikeStream KQL database over there. It is a sample database which you can even try and use it in your Fabric data agent. So for this demo, let's just use the product sales database which I've already created. It's going to validate your data first and make sure it's compatible and there's no errors. And as a next step, once that's validated, it will show you the data source in the left pane over here. And as you can see, it's actually saying that no tables are selected yet, and the data agent can't answer any questions. So what you need to do is just click this down arrow and select, make sure you expand the schema where your tables are present, then select the tables that you want to include, and that's it. You have your data sources configured for your Fabric data agent. And next, what you need to do is make sure you have added all those example queries by clicking the example queries over here. And next you need to just click this add or edit example queries. Let's add one of the example that we have over here, so that we had previously in the PPT. I'm just going to click add sales by sales manager. It's going to give me a text box to enter it, and it is going to validate my query. So it takes a couple of seconds, and then you can go ahead and add your next query, which is sales by manufacturer, and add the query in there as well again. And then it's validating. You can't actually go ahead and add stuff, which I find is a little bit annoying, but yeah, that's how it works, and it needs to validate it fully. As you can see, it says that there is a SQL error. So yeah, when I copy pasted it, I missed an S over there. Okay, so let's leave it to validate that SQL query, and both of them are validated right now. So once you have all of that set, make sure you go and publish your data agent because it's going to only then show up in your Copilot Studio. So let's keep that publishing. Okay, that's published right now. Next, let's go into the Copilot Studio, and over here I am in the home page right now. You just need to go to create in the left pane over here, and it's going to give you a list of object, and you can see it already has a few suggestions, but we are just going to go and use the new agent over here. Once you have that, you have a description type interface where you can write or use the prompt that we already had ready for our Copilot agent. So I'm just going to paste that here, and it's going to do all the job for me. It's going to create and add these instructions back into the Copilot agent by itself. Let's give it a couple of minutes to load, and let's move into configure right now. So as you can see, it's added the instructions into the agent, and you just need to give it a name. I'm just gonna call it sales agent, and it has also created a list of suggested prompts that we wanted to use. So let's click create on that, and it's going to set up your agent in the back end, and you have your agent ready. But right now it's just the agent by itself, and it's not going to be talking to your Fabric data agent, or it's not going to be connecting to your Excel. So let's see how you can do that. So over the top you can see that we have the tools and agents over here. So click on agents, and you just need to click on the add button over here, and go ahead and select Microsoft Fabric. Since I already have a connection, I'm going to use my connection itself. And once that is done, it's going to show you the list of agents that we have in our workspace. I'm going to select the Fabric sales agent, and you can just add the agent. What it does is it also goes and adds the Fabric sales agent as one of the tools. So tools is going to be the set of services that Copilot Studio is going to be using to make sure it satisfies all the expectations that you mentioned in the prompt. That's going to take a couple of minutes over there to get created, and that's added there. So let's go into tools, and you can see we have the Fabric sales agent over here. Now let's click add tool, and let's make sure we have the connector in place to create a table. So again, I've already connected over here, and I'm going to click add to agent, and then it's going to take a couple of seconds to add it there as well. Since I'm in a test environment, I think it's a little bit slow. Maybe if you're in a production or sandbox or a paid environment, let me know if you are seeing this delay as well. Next, we're going to go ahead and add a tool. So we're going to pick the add a row in a table so that it can add all the rows. So, and it's very interesting, right? You have these exact similar features in Power Automate, and I think that's how they're actually making it happen. And if you've already worked with Power Automate, you know that you have to use the apply for each function to make sure all the rows are looped through and added, but it handles all of that in the backend right now. So next, let's go ahead and make sure we have the create a Teams meeting tool selected. And that's going to take a couple of minutes, and you can just hit publish. Right now this is a default environment, so I couldn't publish it, but let's look at one of my published agents. And you need to make a couple of configurations to the tools, which I'll show you right now. So as you can see, I've been experimenting with a couple of other things that I can maybe try out, like creating a PowerPoint and even creating a different Teams meeting. So for the create Teams meeting, the attendee input won't be added by default. Like you can see here, it's only going to add the mandatory inputs. What you can do is you can go and click the required attendees and optional attendees to make sure it gets the list of attendees from you and adds them to the meeting. Right now I'm the only person in the data storm detectives tenant, so I'm gonna skip that. And also make sure you have the calendar updated in the calendar ID, and the rest is fully set up. And that's it. In less than a minute you've gone from question to ready to discuss data, and you didn't have to copy a single cell or switch between 5 apps. So that's how we build a sales strategy Copilot agent using Fabric, Excel, Teams, and Copilot Studio. So I've just shown you the basic steps, but there is much more to this, guys. You can build almost anything out of this, and you don't just have to use the tools that it's showing in the pane that you saw right now. You can create your own custom agents and even bring them and link them back together. That is almost like if you have your own uh, system, if you have your own enterprise system like a point of sale system or a transportation management system, and if you have APIs over there, and if you want to create load creation automation, or if you want to check orders, or if you want to go back and create a case based on a sales customer interaction, all of that can be automated easily using this. So if this helped, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment on what else you would like me to build. Thanks for watching and happy automating.